I will never play without it.
Hey everybody, what's up? My name's Mackenzie.
And I'm Jonathan.
We are husband and wife, and we'd like to welcome you to TerreDice.
And today we're taking a look at Gears of Corruption, the brand new expansion to Expeditions.
Yes, so this is the expansion to Expeditions, which is the sequel to Scythe, which also has expansions, but now this is the expansion of a sequel, yes. But regardless, this is a super awesome game, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about it. So let's go ahead and dive in.
So if you're not familiar with Expeditions, this is the sequel to Scythe, so it takes place in the same 1920s Europa world. However, we are now leaders venturing off in these mechs into this strange part of Siberia where meteorites are showering the earth and weird stuff is happening. There's tentacles, there's all sorts of strange things going on. Anyway, if you haven't seen anything about the base game, we did a video on that as well. It's excellent. But this expansion adds a whole lot, some of which was due to kind of people's feedback from playing the base game. So it addresses some of the core concerns. It also just adds some other sorts of things going on. So let's dive into that. So Gears of Corruption adds a couple of fun new mechanics. So first of all, there were those map tokens in the base game that you got whenever you'd explore new lands. Those have been replaced with tokens that actually give you bonuses. So when you flip the token, you're instantly going to get to do something like gain power or play a card or take a card from the map. So those are super, super helpful to have. In addition to that, they've also made a little bit more variation in like what that first move should be. So maybe you will go straight for a new space. They do that by giving everybody starting resources. So we're all going to start with some amount of power in Guile. They also give us a hero worker to start. So you don't have to like bolt straight for those worker spaces because you're going to have one worker who counts as any color when playing cards. Now they did a couple of other things to increase player interaction in this game. So the first thing they did was they added a 6th player, so you can play this with 6, and we did play it at 6, so we'll talk about that. But they also added a corrupted mech, who is this like scary mech that's going to chase us around the board and take resources from us, and we can fight it to get corruption. So that's kind of a fun new thing that was introduced as well. Now we did get 2 new mechs with brand new player powers, both of which interact with the map tokens, which is a pretty cool thing that was not in there before very much. And then it also added in 4 new character and companion pairs, some of which were characters from the original Scythe game. So I think that covers just about, dual layer boards.
Yes, I was about to say, one of my favorite parts is that they are adding in dual layer boards. So this is insanely helpful when you're tracking your Guile and power, because in the original game, they might get bumped around. That's a problem that people had said. But with these dual layer boards, it's going to be secure. You're going to know where you are in that track.
It's 2 separate tracks too.
Yes, so it's very, very helpful.
Yeah, so we got that 6th player, we got that dual layer boards, and then all the new fun tokens. The first time we played the expansion was at 6 players, so we actually played the full player count. And I have to say, like, I was prepared for that to be a longer game than it was, because the very first thing that you get is we get all these starting resources. And in fact, we actually had to draft in reverse player order. So there's this whole, you get the mech that's paired with the companion and character, and it will give you some amount of starting resources. So everyone was able to draft what they were going to start with, which really helped inform their strategies. And you could already see, how the board was set up, so you had ideas of where you wanted to go. So starting with those resources meant you didn't have those slow couple turns in the south regions where you're like trying to get those things.
I think having those resources up front was really helpful. It really helped push the momentum of the game, which the original, I felt the start was rather slow. Let's talk about that mech that goes wild. How did that work with the 6 player?
Yeah, so once someone achieves their first star, right before that player will now be a corrupted mech that goes. It's extremely easy to run. You flip a card, it tells it a direction to move. If it can't move that direction, it moves the next direction clockwise. So it takes you like all of half a second to move this mech. But if it bounces into a player, it's going to steal something from them. So this could be a coin, could be power, it could be, a card gets discarded. And whenever it does that, it could bounce into multiple players on one turn. So you could have it hit ping pong 3 players before it actually moves. And that was really fun to kind of have this thing chasing us around, because it was like a whole new way to like block all the spaces around it where you like don't want to be near it.
Yeah, and like you actually got the momentum to get a star from it, like because of the corruption from it.
So another cool thing, it has some amount of corruption associated with defeating each of these cards in its like stack. And so you can actually vanquish it just like you would a space and try to vanquish as many of those cards as you can. So I got about 4 cards from that I used towards my 7 corruption goal. I will never play without it, for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. And you get to pick which mech. It's the mech that you're not using. And so I definitely recommend picking the creepiest looking one. So I think it has a lot of interaction when you're playing that higher player count. When we were playing it with 2, it was still fun because there was like this looming presence. Maybe it blocked some items where I was thinking about going, but it didn't have as much of an influence as that higher player count.
Yeah, it did though block like some boast actions and
stuff.
It
does block things, so I think it does, like I would definitely use it still at 2 player because it did add to it.
Yeah.
So that's the mech. Let's talk about those map tiles, those map tokens that add things underneath of it.
Yeah, so I think what's coolest about the map tiles is that there's new ways to use them. So there's the 2 mechs that actually care about trashing map tokens to get different things. My favorite mech was the one that on your refresh turn, you could trash a map token to do an extra action. So like you're getting to do an action on your refresh turn, which makes it way more likely that you're going to refresh more often.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. The map tokens themselves had really nice benefits under them. We had one game where they were like useful every single time though, and another game where like we got them when we like couldn't do anything with them. So it was like we'd get the play card one and we have no cards to play, or we'd get the power one and we have max power already. We also had a friend who got who face-checked sweep or refresh when they didn't need it multiple times, and then like found the space that had the sweep refresh when they didn't need it, and so they like basically were like, okay, I guess I sweep a card, but they had like no actual effect for themselves. So there's certainly an element of randomness to you getting benefits from them, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It just encourages opening up that board a little bit faster. I think that was good.
Yeah, because you aren't, I would say that's the only luck really to the game, is like it kind of adds like you're gambling on hoping you get a good pull. But it's so minor that, and I think it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting is there's some that are just distinctly better than others. Like there's a 2 coin and a 1 coin, or a 2 power and a 1 power, where it's like it's literally just more of the same thing. So it makes it certainly, it encourages people opening up the map a little bit more early on, which can help speed up the game, to be honest. I particularly love one of the characters. It's the purple alien one. It does not use vanquish or solve at all. So instead of being able to vanquish things, you can only remove the top corruption of something nearby by, so you're like interacting with those elements a lot more, which I thought was super interesting. And it just tucks quests instead. So I really like the purple one. It's just weird. There's also Freya and Loki. Those ones were fun. And then Bjorn and Mox from Scythe, I think were one of the ones in this. Really fun player powers on this.
The bear mech is fun.
Yeah.
It looks creepy.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I have to say, when I opened up this expansion box and started reading the rules, I did not feel like there was much here. I was like, okay, so we get new map tokens, new mechs, new characters. But when I got to reading what their abilities are and what they do, oh my gosh, there's a lot of meat to this expansion. So I think it actually is a pretty substantial expansion and added quite a bit to the quality of life of the game, I think.
Yeah, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's creepy, but it's beautiful. Like this purple box cover, it's just gorgeous, and the cards inside.
Oh, speaking of this though, it does fit in the base box. So
yes,
all
you
the
can't get rid of this.
All the components are in the base box, but this is quite a pretty box.
Very good point. Yeah, so overall, those are our thoughts on the new expansion to Expeditions, the sequel to Scythe. But I thoroughly enjoyed this game overall. No, I will always play it with Expedition.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of it. I love the corrupted mech. It really actually improved the gameplay a lot for me.
All right, awesome. So there will be a link down below if you want to go check out how you can pre-order this game, or if you're watching this at a later time, how to get this game. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much to Stonemaier Games for sending us a copy of Expeditions so that we would get to check it out. I really appreciated getting to see this. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know whenever we put out a new video. And we'll see you next time.
Happy playing. All right.
This is Expeditions, a sequel to Scythe, but this is the expansion, an expansion to the sequel to Scythe.
You can say that if you want to.